This is a presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the Oklahoma Sports Network's consent is prohibited. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be used without express written consent.
All right, welcome everyone to another edition of the Midwest City Coaches Show. Happy to be joining you here on a lovely Tuesday, and of course this could be seen any time of the week, but we're very happy to be talking about another exciting week of Midwest City football coming up. And of course we have two sponsors we appreciate very much for this show, brought to you by Tooney Buys Houses. We buy and renovate homes. We also lease and owner finance homes throughout the state of Oklahoma. You can call them at 405-931-3046. And Intertwined Hearts Ministry, biblical-based counseling, mentoring, and spiritual direction for couples and adult individuals. Scott and Alicia Young both graduated from Midwest City High School, and their kids did as well. They're located at 9107 East Reno Avenue. All right, happy to again be joined by Bomber head coach Jaquez Washington. Coach, when we look back at the game against Lawton MacArthur, it was your highest scoring game other than your PC West game, scoring 28 points. And yes, there was a defensive touchdown late. There was also late in the game a big long run by Lincoln King, 81 yards. But you actually also had a couple of long drives that were very good until the end, I think, where you got stopped on turnover on downs. I think you had a couple of fourth and goals or something like that. So the question is, what was successful? What was working for your offense on this game?
I think you just see the progress in each position. Lincoln did a good job of sitting in the pocket and delivering throws to the open guy, and then using his legs early on to create first downs, move the sticks. The O-line held up in pass protection. We were able to run the ball forward and create some positive plays in the running game, and then all the receivers kind of stepped up this week and make some big time catches and run after catch. That's just been the challenge for every kid on the offense. Is just let's not get tackled by one guy, let's make a guy miss. But I think offensively we scored 14 and a half in the first half, which was a big thing. I think offensively we played well enough. You got the turnover, the interception, and then you got the two drives that stall out down there inside the 20. But offensively, I think we played well enough to give ourselves a chance to win.
Yeah, and to add to what you said, I thought the chemistry that Lincoln was developing with the receivers was really shown that game, especially with the Browns. Josiah Brown, and then the number 10, I forgot his first name, Lucius Brown.
Sweet Lou.
Yeah, Sweet Lou. Okay, we'll go by that from now on the air. and also, of course, Cochran, who had a touchdown. Is that something that you've been seeing in practice, that the receivers are just getting more comfortable with Lincoln as he's gotten more comfortable in the pocket?
Yeah, and I think it's just a more direct coaching with Lincoln on his reads and understanding where the ball needs to go, and just not panicking in the pocket. Going through his progression and reading from left to right. You can see that he's doing it, making the right play, taking profit, dumping the ball down when he needs to his check down if it's available. Just take what the defense gives us. Earlier in the year he was trying to make the home run play every time, but it kind of works together when you take a dump down. Then the next time that guy might check and try to go tackle the dump down. Now the deep shot is open, and so I think he's just maturing as a quarterback. And experience is the best trade, and he's been back there behind center 4 or 5 times this year. And taking some bang-ups, and all those young receivers who were inexperienced, the sophomores and the 2 sophomores with Brown and Cochran, and then Lucius he didn't even play the first game as a receiver. He was a linebacker, DB. And so, it comes into fruition at some point in time.
And Lincoln did make the big play, an 81-yard run like we already mentioned in the fourth quarter. Has he entrenched himself as the quarterback for the rest of the season?
I think he's doing a good job right now. His ability to be dynamic, to be able to move out of the pocket when he needs to and still keep his eyes down the field, and also have the threat of running the ball. So what Lincoln's doing right now is progressing. That's what we want to see, is keep progressing. We need a couple more big games out of him, and I think he's starting to mature into the aspect of what it means to be a quarterback, what all it takes, the understanding of the offensive game plan, where we want the ball to go. When they take away something, here's what your next option is. And as he keeps standing back there and improving, he's a great athlete. He's a smart kid. He's a wonderful competitor. And so he's doing a good job at giving the team a chance to win.
And on defense, a few changes on defense from like one week to the next, including Lincoln not starting, which may have helped him not playing as much on defense. But also, you move some players around, like Xavier Young was a down lineman instead of a linebacker. And you move some safeties around. So what went into some of those changes? And it's something I know you like to do week to week. Is it you're still looking for something that works for your guys, or you like to also give the other team something different to look at?
We would like to get to the point where we're flexible enough to, within a game, just hop in and hop out of different fronts and looks. Some of the stuff is when you got offensive guys, we're typically playing with 3 down defensive linemen. Well, those might be our offensive linemen also. And so as you watch a game and, you put together, long drives when we're on the defense side of the ball, and you go and put together a long drive on the offensive side of the ball, those guys are dying. And it's a way to just spell our guys and keep 2 bigs out there, and so we can move Xavier down to be a defensive end. And, that's not a guy who plays O-line also. And so just making sure we can keep guys fresh for the offensive line. And then with Lincoln, taking over assuming the position at quarterback, it was a couple times he probably would have ran for more yards, but he was cramping and started tripping and, falling and stuff. And so, he's one of our best defenders. Davion Cochran's one of our best defenders, but as much as they do on offense and, the big plays, those plays add up, and then trying to get them back out there and spilled in on defense during those quick tempo for Law Mack, and then trying to get them back off the field to make sure they're ready for offense. So it's just a balance, and, just giving some other guys some opportunity to step up and see if they can play and make some plays. And, Chris Crawford had a good game, a good first half, tackling and, run up there and playing physical after his first game of, starting at safety. And so it's just, continuing to just, look behind on the sideline and see who can add value. And, some kids are stepping up. We got in the second quarter, Kevon Curry went down. In the first quarter, Chris Crawford didn't play the second half. And, we had some freshmen, Darion Washington out there. Kylan Graham might have got some snaps. Kayon Graham went out and got some snaps at safety. And so, we got guys stepping up and just filling in, and, some musical chairs back there, but got to find some health and got to find some guys that, can run the defense.
Yeah, I want to focus in on one thing. You've been talking about Xavier Young moving from linebacker to defensive end. Is that really a big adjustment? Because, as he would have to get, I guess more in a 3-point stance, or does he have basically the same responsibilities?
Responsibilities is kind of similar because he's been playing outside backer, and early in the year he would be there and we would walk him down to play that edge piece. It's a different physicality of just demanding it play in and play out, from some of the situations he's been in, and so having to use his hands, having to set edges, having to read on the quarterback when his own read game. And Xavier's a hard worker. He's a kid that brings his lunch pail every day, so just continuing to teach him, the techniques that are required for that position, and just to play defense, the physicality that it requires.
Also on defense, Lon MacArthur, they have, like a lot of these teams, just very explosive players, and Josh Rushing was one. His number 2 and 3, basically. The other one, Adam Austin, really good players, or Division I players. But I thought the key for them was the running back, number 28. He had some big plays, and you guys had defended the run up the middle pretty well, I thought, this season. But he was one of the first running backs I think you've gone up against that was more of a bruising back. Would you say that was tackling the thing, or was it assignment football, or how would you say how that went?
They do a good job with those 2 guys you mentioned on the perimeter of spreading them out. They're outside the numbers, very wide Baylor-like splits back when Art Browse was running it. And so, they got wide splits and then tempo, so you got to honor number 2 and number 3 out there. And then the tempo kind of caught our guys off guard, just how fast they snapped the ball, how fast they got a line. And so I think some of that played into it of just, we weren't even down in stances sometimes when they were snapping the ball. And, so we made the back he made some good plays. He was a good player. I knew he was a tough runner. But I think some of the pieces on the perimeter helped them to where if you commit to the box, you got their best 2 players in one-on-one situations with your cornerbacks.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk class and SAS and a couple more things of interest in the Lawton MacArthur game. And then we'll look at, like I said, class and SAS and beyond. You're watching the Midwest City Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network.
At Tommy's Express Car Wash, we know how to love your ride. Try the Works Wash with our signature 14-step cleaning process, engineered to shine and shield your car from the elements. From breaking down dirt and bugs with our Detox Pre-Wash to restoring your vehicle's finish with our ceramic body wax. Give your car the best with our Top Wash. Then complete the clean with free vacuums and mat washers. Download our app and get your first 30 days of the Works for free. Tommy's Express. Love your ride.
College is more than just going to class. College is a journey. It's meeting new people and making new friendships that will last a lifetime. It's learning from professors who care about you and your success. And finding out it can be really fun and rewarding. It's discovering that thing you want to do for the rest of your life. Cameron University is all about helping you grow and succeed. Because your success is our success.
If you've lived in Oklahoma long enough, you'll know that we get extreme weather. With that extreme weather comes hail damage to your roof and an insurance claim. When that happens, there's not a better company to deal with on your insurance claim than Cantrell Roofing and Construction. Since 1987, Cantrell Roofing and Construction has proven to be the best in the business. And always remember, got hail? Call Cantrell. Call them at 405-642-8558.
Last year, 35% of all auto accident deaths were rollovers. If you've been in a wreck, don't hesitate to call us. This is why you need our number in your phone. This could be you!
When you call our firm, you're going to get one of us, not some paralegal or office manager.
Most lawyers, they take more money than their clients. Most of the time, a lot more.
We don't, and we guarantee it.
And welcome back to the Midwest City Coaches Show, again brought to you by Toonie Buys Houses and Intertwined Hearts Ministry, talking with Midwest City head coach Jaquez Washington. Coach, one of the interesting things that happened that went against your defense in the Lawton MacArthur game was you're about to get a third down stop, and Lawton MacArthur fumbled, and it was recovered. The guy who fumbled was short of the first down. They recovered. The ball went forward, and they recovered for where a first down spot would be. And even Tom and I weren't sure what to make of that, because I know there's at different levels there's different rules regarding the offense recovering their own fumble and where the ball gets spotted. It reminded me of the Holy Roller. I don't know if you ever heard of that play. That was an famous NFL game back in the 70s. I'll tell you about it sometime. But anyway, what is your understanding of the rule and what happened there?
Well, I think the rule is, they recovered, so it said it's like a live ball. It gives them the first down. I was under the intention that that the ball should have been placed at the spot of the fumble anytime it's 3rd and 4th down. I don't think you should be able to recover a fumble that rolls forward for a first down. If that's the case, we should just fumble every 4th and 3rd down and roll it forward to a teammate so we can recover it. Got a lot of things about the rule adjustment and the rule exception. The rule exception, to me, from watching the rule exception before the year started, was only in regards to if the ball rolls out of bounds. Until you talk to a different ref, they might have a different answer.
And then you kept your 2-point conversion rate perfect after your first touchdown. Again, I think that's 6 for 6 on the season, going for 2. But then you decided to start kicking extra points, and Davion Cochran was low in the first one, but he kicked it far enough, it was just low, and then he made his last 2. So I guess the hope is, of course, against Class and SAS, who knows what will happen, but you score a lot of touchdowns. Where are you at with kicking extra points versus going for 2?
We probably need to execute some PAT field goals and just get ourselves in the habit of that. Davion was kicking well before the game. I think he made one from like 25-yard line to you. Like he had his leg going, but then again at that time, he was part of that long run play, the long play on that drive to set up a touchdown. And, some of his kicking stuff, gets worn out with his legs if you're running for 50-yard plays. And so I'll take the 50-yard plays from him and, just keep being creative enough to, try to get that 2 points. We can get an edge. I felt if we kicked the field goal, we made it. Now we're at 15. We already had the 2 points. And if we miss it, we're still at 14. So just executing some of those mechanics on PAT this week and focusing on that.
What would you be comfortable with Davion kicking a field goal, like from how far out?
It's day by day. When you don't have like you got my starting kicker Dom is also the snapper who's going through his own list of injuries, and then you got Cochran who. Pre-game he's fresh as a daisy, and then how the game is going, and his legs might be getting tired, and so it's not. There's no primary kicking guy that that's what he does. When he rolls off the sideline, he's going out there to boot. So all of our kickers are play contingent on what's going on. So if Dom rolls his ankle, can he plant off his off foot to go kick a field goal? If Day is doing this, can he run out there and go? And so all of it's contingent on what the situation is.
And one other name to throw out there, you used Hayden Parent in the kicking game too, but he plays linebacker. So
yep, he's one of our backup punters, and so he goes out there and punts the ball too when Dom goes down or something happens.
Okay, so Class and SAS, and by the way, we have talked about this before we started this recording, that there could be some tough weather, so I know that can impact kicking as well. But going to play Class and SAS, not too far away, as opposed to Lawton MacArthur. What are your thoughts about this game? I know they haven't won a game yet, so do you feel like you need to remind your players that doesn't matter, that they haven't won a game yet? You prepare the same way?
Yeah, and our preparation needs to be focused and contingent upon like getting better at our technique, our assignment, where our eyes are supposed to be, and executing our job. And it doesn't matter who we play. That's just a test at the end, and kind of just can't play around and approach this game like, oh, it's a done deal. There's no done deals in our district. We play a tough district right now on film. We feel like we have some advantages, to exploit, but it's about our kids going out there and exploiting them and not playing around and not taking this week easy, because we got to make some huge jumps before, senior night. We got to play some good football, and I think that's the focus with our kids this week, of being competitive and going out and playing good football, doing what we're coached to do, not recreating the wheel, defensively aligning and tackling, offensively aligning and executing, blocking, catching, throwing, running.
Now, do you ever, maybe not this year, but maybe in previous years, but also for this year, do you ever take a glance at the standings in your district?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I of course, am obsessed with this stuff, Coach. I'm sure you understand. And you guys are not eliminated from the playoffs yet.
Not mathematically, no.
Correct. You do need some help, but I think it's realistic help. Is that something you would talk to your coaches and players about? Hey, we can still get to the playoffs, but we got to play well. Obviously, we got to win these last 2 games. Is that something you will say to them, or you don't even want to think about that just yet?
I have put it on our kids' radar. They, after the Law Mac game, obviously the road got tougher, and but to let them know that all hope is not lost. But here's what the situation is, and here's what we have to do about it. And the choice is ours. We can still kind of control our own destiny on how we go about it, and what you want this season to look like. And really, realistically, I want this team to go out with 2 wins. And, for the playoffs, I believe it has to be 2 big wins. And so I believe if we just continue to do some of the things we did offensively and keep moving the ball defensively, you got to reshape up to help the offense, to get the ball back in the offensive hands, to create points. We can do it. But, right now the focus is this Tuesday practice of just, let's get the negative things out.
Well, you mentioned the Tuesday practice. We are pre-recording this. This is being recorded late Tuesday morning because students are not at school today. They weren't at school yesterday because of fall break, not school today because it's professional development for Middale teachers. So have you enjoyed having practice at perhaps a time more to your liking earlier in the day, and maybe you can go longer? Is that basically the plan?
Yeah, I mean, today we'll just slide practice up 30 minutes because I like to keep the kids on a routine. We could have probably went out and got practice in the morning done yesterday, but we also had a JV game versus Deer Creek last night where the kids performed well. We ended up losing that one. But we had a 99-yard touchdown run, which was, to start the game off, and that was a good play. You got a couple turnovers on defense. But kind of try to keep them on the same battle rhythm and routine and schedule. We kind of slid them up 30 minutes and then just making sure everybody has a ride to get here to practice and, so we can kick it off. So there was some guys missing yesterday with fall break being in play, but the guys who came out here was willing to work and willing to play and be utilized in different positions.
Coach, also with fall break, you had no games Friday. You had the weekend. Did you guys do anything coach-wise, player-wise on Friday?
Not on Friday. Just let them have the day off. School is out, so trying to get them all wrangled in up here, and coaches are out. My actual linebacker coach, Coach Mustin, had his wedding this weekend.
I saw that. Congrats.
He was preparing for that, and so Sunday he had his wedding, and so, wanted the coaches not to try to decide between the two of like, okay, I'm coming up to meet and all that. So we took the weekend off, gave the kids a long break. It's been a long season. It's been a long, grueling 8 weeks of just consistent, just going after it. And so, kids had it. They came back with energy yesterday in practice. So it's a good start to the week.
Okay, and you mentioned in the JV game against Deer Creek there was a 99-yard run. Who did that?
Taim Kemp. Took a play back here. We actually, the play before, we forced a fumble, got the ball, recovered it, and then, the next play, Taim Kemp took a little QB zone replay and rolled it back and took off, for a 99-yard touchdown. And, he's a guy that's electric. He's wiggly, and he's slippery, and guys have a hard time tackling him. So just keeping developing him, working on his passing game. And so, JV guys went out and competed. We ended up ultimately losing the game, but they played well. All
right, well, that may be a nice quarterback battle for next year, him and Valor Vaughn. So if they make each other better, and it could be a really good situation there.
Yes, sir.
And so we mentioned not being eliminated from the playoffs yet. Of course, Midwest City you have to win solidly, not just win. You have to win solidly against Classen SAS and then Duncan at the end of the season, of course. Real quick, one more thing about the Classen SAS game. Before we started recording this, you had noticed that there's at least one game moved to Thursdays, so that still may be a possibility at this point if the weather on Friday is bad enough.
Yeah, and I gotta talk to administration over at Classen, but it's supposed to be heavy rain. I mean, we'll play in the rain, but Thursday seems clear, and so I'm starting to see some of the teams across the state try to shift that Friday game to a Thursday. It is what it is. It's out of our control, and so we'll see what they want to do, and that's when the Bombers will show up and play.
All right, so it would be normal rest for the Bombers. They played last Thursday, so it wouldn't be like they are going on 6 days rest. But and we'll let you guys know. The Classen SAS game could be Thursday. Right now it's scheduled for Friday. It'll be on the Oklahoma Sports Network either way. So just check your listings, whatever internet sources you used, X, Facebook, whatever. But we will post it if there is a change. If there's not, again, we'll be at Douglas High School where Classen SAS plays their home games. Coverage will be at 6:30, of course. Kickoff will be at 7. The Bombers will take on the Comets, and it will be on the Oklahoma Sports Network. Coach, thanks again for your time, and we appreciate all of you watching another edition of the Midwest City Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Thanks for watching this presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.